Hey everybody, Jam Creates here. It is Friday, and we are heading into the weekend for those of us who work, the normal, stereotypical Monday to Friday kind of jobs. Heading into the weekend, which is always fun. So, I thought today, I would talk about something. I just thought I'd talk about a couple of things. I got a couple of little things on my mind. I might kind of just try to merge them together. I don't know. We'll see. So I'm just going to get right into it. First and foremost, let's talk about this it kind of does relate to what I was talking about yesterday, but I don't think I will get as heated as I did yesterday. Of course, I make no promises because you just never know what's going to happen. Yesterday, I was talking about that fantasy writer who is living in a fantasy land where she's upset that people like Tolkien are still on the bookshelves, crowding out people like her. Which is just one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Anyway, I went off about that yesterday. If you really want to hear me go nuts about that, just watch yesterday's video. You'll see. But what I wanted to talk about was one of the things that I got into when I was talking about that whole situation was, and relating it back to comic books, is the days of relying on other people to, relying on just having to rely on the publisher to promote your work, and then you're good after that, and you don't really have to do anything. Those days are long over, and I talked about that. But this also, it ties into something else that just by pure coincidence, I guess, just happened a couple days ago. I saw Edwin Boyette posted something on Twitter, and I don't know if you know who Edwin is. He has his own YouTube channel. He promotes a lot of Indiegogo campaigns for Comicsgate creators, and he also is now one of the people in charge of IndieCron. And what he was talking about was, he was saying, don't just hop on Twitter and say, hey guys, help, my campaign's in trouble, please back it. Like, you got to make your campaign has to be entertaining as well in order to get people, to inspire people to back your campaign. So if you're crowdfunding a book, and I thought this was really wonderful advice. I thought it's very good advice. I see a lot of people out there who do the former, where they just kind of like hop on Twitter and say, hey guys, help, we're halfway through our campaign and we're not even halfway funded, we need help, that kind of thing. Like, how about do something? Like, create some stuff, share some art, share some stuff, like really, like, try to make it entertaining, make it fun for people. If you have a YouTube channel, make your YouTube channel fun, and make your YouTube channel all about promoting your book. People will understand. I firmly believe that if you have a YouTube channel and you've created any kind of a following for yourself on YouTube, and speaking as someone who now has 130 followers, thank you very much. I'm somewhat of an expert on this whole thing. Sorry, I couldn't even keep a straight face while I was doing that. No, but for real, your channel, if you've built up a channel and you've built up a following and you've got people who enjoy your content, I think your people are going to be more than happy to watch you put out videos where you're pumping up and trying to promote your campaign for your book. And I think that's been borne out. I think we've seen that now time and time again with different creators who go out there and they make these videos and they do live streams and they talk to their fans and they, talk to their followers, and they show them work in progress. They show them what they're capable of doing. They do live streams and drawing streams and whatever else it might be, just to make the campaign fun, make it entertaining. You're delivering entertainment and at the same time asking people to buy your book. One of the keys, and now I'm going to be honest with you, for a time, I worked in a form of sales. It wasn't exactly direct sales, but it was sales. They just gave it a fancy name and whatnot. And one of the first things they teach you when you get into any kind of sales is you have to ask for the sale. You have to ask for the sale, or the customer's just going to wander off. At some point in your conversation with the customer, you've got to ask them to buy whatever it is you're selling. Or eventually they're just going to be like, oh, that was a nice guy and we had a fun conversation and now I'm moving on with my life. At some point, you've got to actually ask for the sale. And it can be difficult. If you've never done it before, if you're not particularly good at it, it can be hard to do, but you've got to do it. Now, listen, the prime example, of course, would be to see someone like, to look at someone like, say, Ethan Van Sciver and his Cyberfrog campaign. Like, he's doing these giant, he doesn't do them as much now, but, he was doing these huge live streams for hours and hours where, he's constantly checking the numbers and constantly, trying to get people to back. And, and the thing is his excitement about the book and his excitement about people backing the book helps to draw viewers in and make them want to back the book. It's this entertainment thing, and it's this thing that people have of wanting to be a part of something. They become involved in it too because of the excitement of the person. And I've talked about this before. Excitement is infectious. It is. Enthusiasm is infectious. When you're excited about something and you're doing something cool, it's infectious. It rubs off on people. And it was funny because Edwin gave his example, and I forgot his damn name, and I'm in the car and I can't look it up now. The creator of The Ferryman, which is another, it was a successful campaign for issue 1. He's actually crowdfunding issue 2 right now as we speak, on Indiegogo. He chimed in and he wrote this funny little thing about, because Edwin mentioned the fish stick force in his thing, as just his made up little thing about the campaign that he was talking about. And so this guy jumped in, and I feel so horrible that I can't remember his name now. He jumped in and he wrote this little pitch for it, and I was like, that's funny, now I want that. And he was like, so do I. So then I said, you know what the heck, I'm gonna have some fun. So I sat down and I just picked up a pencil and my sketch pad, and I just drew a little group shot of, and I messed up the name. Instead of calling it Fish Stick Force, I called it Fish Stick Squad, whatever. The joke was still there. And then I posted it online, and everybody, and they laughed at it and they shared it, and it was fun and everybody had a good time. And the thing is, that was for nothing. That was literally for nothing. That's a thing that doesn't actually exist. And so, but it just became kind of like a little bit of a snowball. And that's the effect of, if you're funny and if you're fun, you don't have to be funny. Not everybody is funny. But if you're entertaining and you're having a good time and you're excited about stuff, people will help you to promote your book. But you've got to start it. No one's going to start it but you. And I look at, for example, Doug TenNapel, the creator of Earthworm Jim, did his crowdfunding campaign for Bigfoot Bill. And he's actually going to start shipping it very soon. I just got an update the other day. Yes, I backed it. And the thing was, he made his campaign very entertaining. At one point, literally, a stretch goal of his was to dye his hair pink if they reached a certain number. And of course they hit that number, because everybody wanted to see this 6'8", skinny dude, older dude. He's probably older than me, and I feel like I'm old. I'm 44. and I'm pretty sure he's older than I am. And they wanted to see him dye his hair pink because it's funny. He lives in Tennessee. He's 6'8". Him walking around with pink hair is going to be pretty ridiculous. So, of course, he hit that goal. And then he was smart, because what he did was he then continued the entertainment value. He went and he live streamed himself getting his hair dyed pink. And the fans, the people watching, started super chatting tips for the girl who was doing the coloring on his hair. And by the end of the whole thing, it was a $300 tip that the hairdresser got for dyeing Doug TenNapel's hair pink. Then he went a step further and he said, okay, if we hit this number, I'm going to dye my beard blue. So, of course, they got there. And he did another one for getting hit in the face with a pie and all these different things. And he made the campaign itself funny and silly and entertaining. And people get involved. People really enjoy that. And this is where I think people like that fantasy author and a lot of these other people are missing out. And the campaigns that don't succeed, it's not always about the quality of your book. And I said this yesterday, I've seen wonderful things, like amazingly awesome video games that were unsuccessful, even though they were great games, because they just didn't resonate. Whatever it was, the campaign or the advertising or the box art or whatever it was, just didn't resonate, and it didn't get the job done. And even though it was a really great game, never got a sequel because it wasn't very successful, because it just didn't hook people. And that happens with books, that happens with comic books, it happens with these crowdfunding campaigns for sure. I'm by no means an expert at crowdfunding. I've merely been an observer. I've never done any crowdfunding myself. So, take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. I don't have firsthand experience at this, but I do have a lot of experience of watching crowdfunders and seeing incredibly successful ones and seeing ones that have been horribly unsuccessful. And I've seen other campaigns where the first one was very successful, and the second one, it was cut in half when they did another one, because what the product they delivered on the first time really wasn't that great. So you just never, it's you do your best, of course. You have to do your best at your crowdfunding, but you also have to do your best at delivering a great product. You have to do your best at both. And it's hard. It's not easy. No one ever said it was easy. It's not. It's definitely not easy. And you've got a plan. You've got a plan, and you've got to try and figure this thing out. And I've seen campaigns. Look at, for example, a very successful campaign was Antonio Bryce and Kanan White with Brand. They're up, I don't even know what they're at now. I think they're at close to $60,000 for their campaign for one 48-page comic book. And the thing about this is, anyone who sees Kanan's art looks at it and just marvels at how, incredibly talented this guy is and how skilled he is. And the art he creates is fantastic. But the funny thing is Brand failed 3 times. Antonio will tell you, I've heard him talk about it numerous times. He talks about it on his own YouTube channel. He's talked about it on other people's channels. Brand failed 3 different times. And the key is, he stuck with it. He believed in it enough to try it again and again. But what happened was eventually he hit on the right formula for promoting it, and he found the right people, and he got involved. And listen, it doesn't hurt when Ethan is promoting your book. Of course, that doesn't hurt at all. That's a big help. But not everyone's going to get that. So you have to know to do it without it. If you put in the work beforehand, other people are more likely to come back to you and say, I see what you've done. I see you've been working for over a year before you even launched your campaign. You've been working at trying to build an audience and get this thing off the ground before you even started crowdfunding and that kind of stuff. And that's what you need to do. I know it sounds like, oh my God, this is going to take forever, but you need to do it. That's the way. You've got to do it. And when you're doing your campaign has to be fun. everything should be fun. Like, all of it should be fun. You're not curing cancer. You're making comic books. You're doing something that in and of itself is just silly, fun entertainment. It's comic books. And this actually takes me into another thing I was going to do another video about. I was thinking about, I was going back and forth on topics for this video, so maybe I'll just touch on it super fast before I end up getting home. Like I said, they're comic books. They're not real. And I don't understand this fairly recent reasoning of finding reality for comic books, and that means in the costuming and in some of the other stuff, like some of the storytelling, even. Like, reality's boring. People are reading comic books to get away from reality. They want to see superheroes they want to see a superhero or a supervillain punch a dude, and for that dude who gets punched to go crashing through like 3 different buildings before he stops in a pile of rubble. And then they want to see him get up out of that pile of rubble, dust himself off, and be like, okay, let's do this. Like, that's what they want to see. They want to see action, adventure, fun, excitement, scary, horror, whatever it is. The genre is could be anything. But it's comic books, man. Let it be fun. Like, one of the things, it's really funny, because one of the things, back in the day, the original, the Bryan Singer X-Men movies, the first one, when the first one came out, I liked it. It was fine. I liked it good enough. What I didn't like, though, what I absolutely hated was the costumes. And I hated the costumes because they had to find, they quote-unquote had to find, like, a realistic way of representing their costumes. They couldn't just put them in spandex and have them running around. To which I say, why the hell not? That's what they do. I know I'm always going to be outvoted on that count. That's fine. I accept that. But there is no reason whatsoever for the X-Men in a comic book to look like they do, to dress in costumes like they do in the movies. Dude, put them in the spandex, put them in bright colors, let them have, like, flamboyant outfits and stuff. Like, it's a comic book, dude. You're talking about people who fly and shoot laser beams out of their eyes and have claws in their hands and healing factors and all this other stuff. Like, now you're going to get hung up on, like, the realism of what they're wearing? All the rest of that was okay. The flying, the optic blasts, the claws, the healing factors, the ice powers, the telepathy, the telekinesis, the magnetism, all of that is okay as long as they're wearing something realistic. We can't have a woman dressed like Psylocke going into battle, because that just doesn't make sense. Her outfit's not practical. Well, of course her outfit's not practical. Neither is the world they live in. She's using psionic knives, for crying out loud. What part of that do you see in your everyday life? So if she wants to wear a costume, if the artist wants to put her in a costume that basically looks like a bathing suit and make her pretty while she's beating dudes up, so what? They're fighting giant robots and monsters from other dimensions and aliens and all that. Who freaking cares what they're wearing? I have one criteria for comic book costumes that I've always held and I will always hold, and it is not realism. It's also not, and I know some people might think, oh, what's he going to say? It has to be, sexy. No, it doesn't have to be sexy. It doesn't have to be sexy at all. It's got to look cool. It's just got to look cool. That's all. One of my favorite costumes, actually, talking about the X-Men from back in the day, one of my favorite costumes was Jean Grey's costume in the Jim Lee era, where she had the full bodysuit. She was covered from head to toe. That's one of my favorite costumes. Okay. It has nothing to do with the sex appeal of the costume. I just like the design, because I think it looks cool. Now, everyone's going to have different opinions on what looks cool, and I get that, and that's fine. But, like, seriously, chill out with the realism, trying to make them, oh, well, that's just not practical. I'm seeing it in video games. I'm seeing it in comic books. I'm seeing it everywhere. I mean, Nerdette's Newsstand. If you don't follow her, if you don't watch her channel, go check her out. She's been doing a great a few videos about Mortal Kombat 11 and the way that they are dressing the female characters specifically in that game. And they've not done it, you know, they're basically like covering them up. They're de-sexifying the characters, the female characters, but they're not doing anything. And their thing is, well, it's just not practical to go into battle wearing like a bikini. Like, why is Katana wearing like a bathing suit and going into battle? That's just not practical. She should be covered from head to toe and yada yada. Yet all the male characters, none of them are wearing shirts. Is it not practical to wear a shirt if you're going to go to fight for your life against people who have like swords coming out of their arms and people who throw spears and shoot flame out of their mouths and freeze you and all that? Wouldn't it be a good idea to probably put on a shirt? Maybe some body armor or something? Wouldn't that be practical for the men to do that too? And that's where the whole argument falls apart. Again, make it look cool, and I don't really give a rip what anyone's wearing. So anyway, you got two topics in one for today's video. But yeah, I would check out Nerdette's Newsstand. Tristan does some great videos about this. She's been covering it, and I would definitely check her out. And just check her channel out anyway. Her channel's great. She's a lot of fun. So anyway, I will talk to you guys soon. If you like this video, and how could you not, give it a thumbs up, please. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Join the other cool kids here, the 130 cool dudes and dudettes who are subscribed to the channel. Follow me on Twitter. I'm at jam_creates, and I'm going to stop being so goofy. Well, no, I'm not. I'm never going to stop being goofy. That's just who I am. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys soon. Maybe live stream over this weekend. Perhaps. I'm not really sure. We'll see. Quick update on the short project I told you guys I was going to start working on. I have started working on it. I've done a few breakdowns, just doing some layouts, trying to figure out exactly how many pages it's going to be and exactly what it's going to be. I'll show you guys some stuff soon. I'll tweet out some stuff soon. And when I start actually having something worth seeing, I'll put something out there. So anyway, that's it. I'll talk to you guys soon. I'm rambling. I sound like the fast talk at the end of a car commercial now. I'll talk to you guys soon, and peace out.